Well, hello, good morning. My name is Jose Ruizalba. I am the leader of this research group on service research and customer experience at the University of Westminster in London. And it's a pleasure to introduce today to Professor Enrique Bigne. He is a professor at the University of Valencia in Spain, and he is also visiting professor with the Leverhulme Trust grant. He will be working with us during the next 6 months. For those of you that you don't know what is the Leverhulme Trust, is the main funding body in the UK, one of the largest all-subject providers of research funding in the UK, distributing around 100 million per year, and has been providing grants, scholarship, research, funding projects, fellowships, etc., many years ago. And today, Professor Bigne will deliver this online seminar with the topic Digital and Physical Meet Together. And we will explore the research avenues and all the potential of this topic. Enrique, please.
So thank you, Professor Ruizalba, and thank you for hosting me in your university. And it's a great pleasure to share with you this seminar. And also, I would like to thank the Service Research and Customer Experience Group at the University of Westminster, and also the Leverhulme Trust for granting me with an aid for being in this university. So it's a great pleasure to share with you this seminar. Thank you for being connected to this session. And of course, please feel free to, well, raise your hands or interrupt me and ask whatever you want or discuss any other points that I would like to share with you today. So the topic today, let me see if it is working. There we go. So this is the agenda. And the ground of this research, these will two main issues that are very common for all of us. So we are facing the physical world every day, I would say almost every second, but nowadays we are using digital stuff. And this session is one of the examples of using the digital environment for being connected. So the typical approach of these two areas has been confronted, and somehow I would say that there are different views with lack of integration. But basically, if we look at the consumers, we may realize that consumers are using both environments in a single unit. In fact, we are, interacting in physical stores, but at the same time, we use maybe our smartphones or any other digital aid for getting more information, checking the price of the products or other interesting stuff. So the question is, why do physical and digital meet together? The next point I would like to present to you is, how do they mix? And we will finish with a tentative research agenda that I would like to share with you, and of course to get your feedback and your ideas and your thoughts about the future research lines related to this integration. Yeah. So when it turns to the physical world, so there is no big news here, except that the physical environment has been here for years. But it is true that now there are some interesting changes. The first one is the price of the space. I have looked at the price of 1 square foot meter here in London, in Bond Street, and it is not surprised that they are, charging, in this case in pounds, £2,000 per square foot meter per year. And similar prices can be seen in other well-known towns such as Madrid or Paris or Berlin. So now a space is an important resource for companies in the sense that they are spending a lot of money in terms of space. The second trend is that stores are becoming more and more similar across towns. When you are for instance, in Paris or in London or in Madrid or in any other place, you feel that you don't have different stores. At the end, you are having the same brands. Maybe there are, a couple of them that are specific from that town, or that you cannot find in other towns, but most of them are similar, and the brands are almost ubiquitous in all the towns. The third one is the effect of the chain. So typically retailers try to expand the number of outlets for selling the products, but because of different reasons, nowadays the chain effect is no longer marginally profitable. There we go. And lastly, proximity and opening hours are less important. I'm sure that you have in mind why, but this is true that in the past, when a store was close to the consumers, it was a real competitive advantage. And also the number of hours that the stores were opened were so important, but nowadays, because of the, maybe the digital thing, proximity and opening hours are becoming less relevant. As a result of these trends, we realize that there are store closures everywhere. Here I'm bringing the news from CNN about Sears. That says that about 100 Sears hometown stores are closing, or eventually brands are not opening new outlets for selling the products. Another consequence of the previous environment is that brick and mortar stores are becoming less valuable for some target groups and for some product categories. It is true that this is not valid for all the target groups and for all the product categories, but definitely there is a trend that, nowadays more and more consumers and for more products, consumers are buying online instead of going to the brick and mortar stores. And the final outcome is that some retailers are shifting to the online business model. And this is just one example from Whole Foods. Whole Foods is a well-known USA chain, but this chain has only 7 physical stores in London. But of course, consumers here in UK or in other countries can buy online the products from Whole Foods. But not everything is bad news about brick and mortar stores, right? So the key benefits of a physical store can be summarized in these 4 main issues. The first one is the option of trying on a product. Maybe for the clothing area, this is really important. Also, consumers can touch, examine, and compare different products, or even making comparisons between different brands. Also, consumers can ask for assistance because they may want to know something, or they want to know if there are other colors available or any other issue. And definitely the experience at the store is the key element that I will come back again in the coming slides. So given said that, it is true that sometimes there are long queues So the key benefit of trying on a product is hearted by the long queues that we are from time to time facing in stores. Of course, consumers can touch, examine, and compare products, but not all the consumers are really good in terms of making comparison, mental comparison, maybe because they are not very good in numbers or in terms of the different attributes of a product. And maybe they need an extra aid from an app or something for comparing the different brands. It is true that consumers can ask for assistance, but that is true if someone is available. And sometimes we don't find the right person for getting his or her attendance or support for choosing or for asking something about one particular product. So definitely the remaining key attribute is the experience, the brick and mortar store. So when it turns to the digital world, so this is not surprising that, well, the e-commerce and the mobile commerce, these two markets are growing up. And in the case of USA, with an increase of 7.7% from 2021, and the main benefits of the e-commerce and the e-commerce worlds are related to the operating costs. They are facing lower operating costs if we compare those costs with the brick and mortar type of costs. It's really easy to change the layout and the different sections. In an online world, the different sections can be added or can be deleted, or some of the assortment of the product can be added in, I would say, half a day or a small proportion of time. And also some of the products can be moved and can be highlighted or can be displayed in a different ways with only just a click or making basic changes into the website. As a consequence of this growth, the supply management and outsourcing are becoming more and more important, and they are part of the internal costs of the companies nowadays. And lastly, we can, as a consumer, we can find any brand worldwide and 24/7 from here, from UK or from any other location in the world. So in other words, the market has been expanded, and not only the big brands, the well-known brands and established brands can't export and sell products in other markets, but also regional brands, domestic brands can sell their products abroad. And again, as a result of these trends, firms have expanded their businesses, and there are many examples on this. I am showing, in this case, British Airways, because we are here in London. And as you know, British Airways is the airline flagship of UK. But the British Airways and other airlines are selling not only flights, they are selling hotels, cars, and even experiences. So in other words, they are expanding their businesses into other related services, such as the tourism, in this case, the tourism industry. The second outcome deals with the market scope. So nowadays, the different brands, and I'm bringing out one example from Chile, they can sell the product worldwide directly. So in the past, any brand from Chile or a wine or from other country had to use an importer for getting the product into the specific market. But nowadays they can use the direct online market for selling the products everywhere. And interestingly, online retailers also look at physical stores. And so when we were thinking that, okay, all the things will go online, at the same time, the typical online retailers are also looking at the physical stores. These can be represented by Amazon Fresh. And also I'm bringing here another news from BBC that says that, okay, Amazon opens first UK non-food store. So in other words, the typical digital retailers are shifting also into the physical world. So what are the benefits of online shopping? So here I'm bringing exactly the same four main issues that I explained when I was explaining the physical stores. The first one, remember, that was the possibility of trying on a product. Also the option of touching, examining, and comparing products. But if you look at this example that you have on the right-hand side of your screen, you see that there is a smartphone, and in this case, the lady, she has scanned her face, and with her fingers, she can tap on the different colors of the lipstick and see how that specific color fits into her lips. So, well, definitely she can try on the different colors. She can, well, examine and compare the different products, or in this case, the different colors, and without any external aid from any other person. Consumers can also ask for assistance. And if we look at this, there we go. This dynamic picture, when we go to a restaurant, we can ask to the people from the restaurant about the different desserts. So maybe we are interested in some of them, but we would like to know something else about the different offerings. So with this application, the consumer by himself can see what are the different options, what are the ingredients, and how do they fit into his or her type of dessert. Of course, the consumer can, with this application, consumers can rotate, can zoom the content of what they are looking at, and definitely without any human aid, they can get the assistant they are desiring. So at the end, the three benefits: try on, touch, examine, and compare products, and ask for assistance can be done through the online world. So the remaining, the remaining attribute, the experience, is the most important and valuable resource for a company in the online world and also in the physical world. But when we are in the digital world, there is something of extremely value for companies. This is what we always name as analytics, or in other words, the option of tracking what consumers are doing, what consumers are touching, what consumers are choosing or selecting or even searching. So when we are in the digital world, this is easy, and there are plenty of available apps for tracking consumer behaviors along their trip. But when we are in the physical world, this is harder because, well, we don't have the appropriate tools for tracking those behaviors. So now the question is, well, can digital help physical stores? Yeah, so it seems that we have neglected the options that the digital world can provide to the physical stores. In the last years, there is a new word. I'm not very fan of having, new words, etc. But in this case, I think it seems quite important to have that word in mind for the future and coming slides. So it's the combination of the benefits of the physical world with the digital world. And the word is phygital, and it's obviously the combination of these two things, the physical world and the digital world, for getting the best of each one. But I would highlight the word experience, because most of the applications and most of the integrations are mainly focused on the technological capabilities or technological advancements and improvements for making it possible. But sometimes they miss the real value of all of these integrations. And the real value is the consumer experience, or the experience of the consumer at any point, the physical store, the digital store, or the integration of both worlds. So how do physical and digital meet together? Well, it's a very simple thing, because there are technological developments from the digital world that can revitalize the physical stores or any other spaces. So I'm focusing basically on retailing, but if you think in terms of other industries such as tourism or museums or any other spatial things, you may realize that definitely the digital world can help and support the stores, the spaces in the physical world. But at the end, and again, I'm highlighting the word of experience here, because with the phygital world, with the phygital thing, only with that thing, we don't get the real value for customers. And well, this is not a promising area, it's a real and current option for many stores. And the most well-known examples are as follows. The click and collect idea has been developed in the last years, and it's becoming more and more important nowadays. For instance, the research online and purchase offline in the USA accounts for 80%. So there are apps for making price comparisons, and even with the option of comparing those prices near me, and then consumers can, search for the different prices where they can buy the one particular brand. Also, Amazon Go is another good example of the integration of the digital into the physical world. There are also QR codes for switching from physical to digital. This has been very useful in the post-pandemic times, particularly restaurants, where consumers can search and see the menu without touching any physical document. There are interactive kiosks at stores, and there are other maybe more recent technologies such as beacons and Alexa or similar voice assistants, where we can interact with them and ask for anything and get a response from the machine. But this is not the enough. So there are more interesting stuff that can show how the digital world can be integrated into the brick and mortar stores. Let's watch this video. I'm able to and see that robots, voice assistants, and even
already. Follow me. Arrive at the shirt section. Lex, I got a couple questions for you. How much is this big one cost?
Yeah, this in another color.
Which one has more memory?
Going to the post office.
Maybe it's green coffee, because I was thinking this is like baby size. I like that color. Well, which one has a better camera?
I would recommend the one on your right. Would you like to try a cupcake?
Now, if these are made in Italy, why is it called a French press?
Hey, baby.
Yeah, it seems that you have heard the okay, you heard the content, right? So, well, basically, a robot, a voice assistant, or the typical call center can assist us during our visit to the brick and mortar store. As the video showed, consumers can take a selfie of themselves, and why not, they can share that information in a with their social media or the social media of the brand if they want. Of course, they can try the different products, and all of these things might positively affect to the customer experience. So this is an example of the integration, but let's move on to the another technological development. In this case, I'm going to focus on augmented reality. But yeah, I like the augmented reality as a technology, right? But I think that as marketers, we have to focus on the use of augmented reality for getting a better service and a better customer experience when consumers are using these technologies. This is what we researched when we published this paper based on the concept of self-service technology. In fact, we used some of the or one of the applications that you have seen before. It was the one from Sephora, where consumers were able to try on and see how the different, makeups and stuff like that looked like in their faces, right? So I didn't mention, but I think it's obvious that during the pandemic times or post-pandemic times, many consumers didn't want to touch any product because maybe there is a contagious effect. So these technologies are becoming more important because of the pandemic, but also in other contexts of usage. So let's watch this video if I'm able to. There we go. Yeah. So this is an application I've done with my smartphone. So these are my legs, and of course you can download this application and see how the different models, the different colors, the different even sizes, etc., fit into your own legs with your own, in this case, trousers. Okay, so we consumers don't need to do it with the help of someone. They can do it by themselves. And of course, you may think, okay, yeah, consumers can do this from home, but at the same time, they can do it at the store, at the physical store, and then once they have, selected maybe 2 or 3 or a very reduced number of brands, they can go to the specific section and see how that specific product looks like. Another example is this one. She's entering into a physical store. She's looking around. And at some point, she's going to try on first. The device scans the body, and now she's choosing different models. And she sees how they fit into her real body. She's looking at a new shirt. Maybe she wants to change the color, or maybe she wants to change to a different type of model. And interestingly, she's doing all these tasks with her hand. And then she can take a picture, and they can share the picture with maybe, I don't know, with her friends or with someone else, for say, hey, do you like this shirt, or do you like this dress? And well, she is trying more and more models, and at some point she will buy one particular model, or she may go to the specific shelf of this product category and see how the product looks like, and she can end it up with buying that particular model that she's looking for. So I'm gonna skip the rest of the video because it's more of the same, except that at the end she buys the product. There we go. And these two applications are related to the augmented reality. But there are more. There are what is named as virtual reality. And in the recent, I would say 1 year and a half, Mark Zuckerberg introduced the concept of the metaverse. We are not going to go to the metaverse today, but it's something that relates to the augmented reality and virtual reality. So what are the benefits of the virtual reality? Well, this is an enhanced technology that allows consumers to look at the products or items in general with a 360-degree display within a 3D representation and with high quality in this moment with 8K. It allows also to transport to a specific scenario where they are fully immersed and can be absorbed with the rest of the things that they have around them. Then they can also interact through navigating or through navigation through the different areas of the space they are immersed. They can share content. So think in terms of the social media idea. This is what Mark Zuckerberg is promoting, in the sense of sharing with others in a social media network all the things that we are doing. Well, but in this case, with the virtual reality, consumers can share what they are doing, or what they are looking at or experiencing. And maybe the most important thing for us as researchers is the possibility of measuring most of these things that I have mentioned before. So remember that we are in the digital world now. So it means that in the digital world, almost everything can be tracked. And therefore, we can measure the different shopping behaviors and patterns during a shopping trip. Okay, so let's watch this video that gives, I think, a very interesting idea of how the integration of the physical world, in this case, the person will be in her home, with the digital world, in this case, through virtual reality. And also you will see on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side some interesting metrics for measuring what consumers or what this particular consumer was doing in her shopping trip. So let's watch the video. There we go. She's at home.
Yeah, I need to do the shopping.
Where's
Welcome, Anne. What do you need?
Hi, Super. I need some pasta. Let's see then. Ah, there it is. Whoops, I almost forgot. Lucy, who's gluten intolerant, is also going to be there tonight. Show me just the gluten-free products, please.
Anne, I have activated the gluten filter for this shelf.
Now I need snacks for my son.
Hey, Anne, you have almost reached the number of points necessary to claim the new prizes. I'll highlight the products that award more points.
Yes, Super, thank you. Look at these. So many points and great ratings. Nice, I'll take it.
from social media?
This is nice. What is it?
Would you like to take a closer look?
Yes, please.
And she jumps into a different store. Car dealer in this case.
I like that.
Should I book a test drive?
Thanks.
Test drive booked. I have sent you the address via email.
Great.
Now she's
But now I
coming,
need to get some shampoo.
she's coming back to the store. The shampoos.
This won't be an easy choice.
These are the ones recommended by your friends.
There it is. Hillary's favorite. Well done, Super.
Social media friends,
it.
of course.
Good. That should be it. Let's go check out. Oh, I think I forgot about the apple pie. Super, show me the ingredients.
Anne, I have analyzed 10 apple pie recipes and the relevant ingredients. This is what is missing from your pantry.
Okay, thanks.
Anne, shall I proceed with payment?
Hang on, Super. I might have picked up too many apples. Okay, now you can pay.
Transaction authorized. What time will you be home in the afternoon?
After 5 p.m.
Perfect. Enjoy your supper.
Thanks, Super. See you next time. Maybe I'll invite you.
So what we have watched in this video, there are many interesting things, but I'm going to try to summarize them. The first thing is that we were able to see the different paths, movements around the store. I don't know if you realized that there were some metrics, neurophysiological metrics on the left or on the right-hand side of the screen. For instance, with the eye track, or the hair rate variability and so on. Also, the interactions took place through voice. So she was interacting, she was in fact asking something or looking for one particular product or product category, and the machine or someone like kind of Alexa provided the right answer or the right path for getting the products. She also saw the different online ratings and points of the different products for maybe for her loyalty card. And yeah, and at the end she asked for recipes for cooking something at home tonight. Okay. So this is a good example. Maybe it's a little bit futuristic, but it's a good example of how can we integrate the digital tools into a physical space. In this case, the consumer was not in the physical store; she was at home. But imagine that this can be done in the store or in any other space, work, at home, and any other location. So as I mentioned before, one of the interesting things for researchers in this phygital integration is the option of using different metrics for measuring consumers' responses. So since we are in the digital world, we can use all the available tools for observing the digital processes. Basically, we can track the motion. We can track also the hand movements, the gestures of the consumer, or eventually his or her voice. We may also use the some implicit measures that come from the consumer neuroscience domain, such as eye tracking, emotion recognition, electrodermal reaction, electroencephalography, and FNIRS. And of course, we may use, I don't discard questionnaires at all, but we may use these questionnaires for measuring with traditional scales that have been approved over the years for measuring one particular construct or for measuring emotional states of the consumer prior to the sales, prior to the shopping trip or during the trip and after the trip. So this is a summary of some of the neurophysiological devices for measuring in VR setting. So as I already mentioned, there are available tools for measuring physiological responses. This is the case of heart rate variability and galvanic skin response. I'm not going to go into the details of the technological details of each device, but keep in mind that maybe the most important things, these devices allowed us to measure the level of stress and the emotional arousal. I still remember the first time that I heard the word arousal, right? It was in a conference, and and at that time I was thinking, yeah, so I can ask consumers about their level of arousal, but maybe it's hard to say a proper answer about what is the level of arousal. So nowadays, with these simple devices, I would add, we are able to measure these kind of level of stress and emotional arousal. A very interesting and very useful tool is to see how consumers look at the different products. This is valuable for retailers, of course, but also in advertising, as you can imagine, because this device measures the unconscious movements of the eye and therefore is a good metric of the level of attention given to one particular product or one particular attribute or a comparison between two brands or what was the first or the previous brand that the consumers looked at before choosing the purchased product. And more advanced devices related to the brain responses are able to measure the engagement, which is, as you know, a common word nowadays in our field of research, but also likability and cognitive workload. On the right-hand side, you have some of the references. As you can see, there are not many studies published in this area because it's a bit complex to combine the way of measuring with these new devices and the specific environments for applying these devices into the study. So for showing you some of my previous research, I started with the paper on the left-hand side. It was published in 2016, and we combined, we simulated a virtual supermarket, and then we measured through eye tracking and some other neurophysiological devices how consumers choose the products. And we gave them an amount of money for spending on beers in this case, and they had to choose the beers for a party at home. And the second one was more traditional, I would say, type of research in the sense that we used questionnaires, and also we used the some neurophysiological measurements for looking at the integration of virtual reality into the traditional concept of e-commerce, or in other words, how can we develop the concept of a BR commerce, which means instead of using only the available online platforms for shopping or buying the different products, so how can we use virtual reality for developing a new distribution channel based on an immersive experience in a supermarket? Then I published a couple of papers, in this case conceptual papers. The first one was this one with some co-authors from other Spanish universities. It was a kind of a framework for analyzing virtual reality in marketing. And later I published this paper with Michelle Wedel and Ji Zhang about a virtual and augmented reality in consumer marketing. So these are some of the previous papers, and I'm going to try to summarize some of the key findings and key methodological issues about these two research papers. So the first one, as I said before, it was published in 2016. And on the left-hand side, you see a picture of the supermarket. In this case, you see, I hope you see the different beers. And we had initially we had a questionnaire, and we asked for brand preferences, consumer habits, demographics, and stuff like that. Then we measure the behavior during this shopping trip, and we get the different paths consumers were doing when they were looking for different types of beer sizes and related things. How many products they examined, time expended during this shopping trip, the number of products bought in this trip, and maybe the most surprising me, the thing that surprised me more at the beginning of this research was that we were able to get all this information per two interesting metrics, per meter and per second. So this is a very different kind of research in terms of the research I previously done in my career, right? So we got metrics related to the space and to the time. So, and also we measured, or we used the eye tracking, and with eye tracking we got the average fixation duration, or in other words, how many times consumers are looking at one particular product or brand, the number of fixations, and also the order of fixations. Eventually, I can ask consumers how many products did you look at, or how many brands did you look at, etc. But it's really hard for us as a consumers to remember how many brands, which brands, and in which order we looked at them into a self. But with this technology, we were able to make it possible. So this was the other paper I was mentioning before. And what we got is that there was a kind of dual road of influence of virtual reality on consumers' purchase intention in a virtual store. One through the emotions and the sense of presence, and the other one through the effect evoked by the virtual environment and brand recall. So in other words, the virtual environment is still emerging, and it captures emotional reactions or trigger emotional reactions of the consumers, maybe because of the novelty, maybe because of the curiosity, but still it's something that from a research point of view and from a managerial point of view, we have to take into consideration. Now I'm going to present you some of the current research we are conducting. This was one of the studies that we have conducted. We conducted, in fact, last year, if I'm not get wrong right now. It was in this research we had 3 stages. In the first part, we had a combination of the augmented reality ad here on the left-hand side versus an animated ad. This part was mainly an advertising type of a study where we are focused on the pre-purchase stage of the customer journey. So some consumers were exposed to the augmented reality ad and some others to an animated ad. And as you can see in this graphical presentation, we measure the three things. So the eye tracking, this is the icon of the eye, the hair rate variability, and also the galvanic skin response. Then participants were moved to 2 types of sets. One was a virtual reality commerce supermarket in this case, and the other half were moved to the typical e-commerce site where they can buy the different products. And also here we measured the eye tracking or the eye movements of the consumers, and also the electroencephalography that is represented by this small icon. And then, well, they completed a questionnaire, and at the end we offered them the option of getting the product with them, or eventually to give them the amount of money that of the cost of that product. So this is this research is now under revision, so I cannot share with you more details about how is it going. But what I can tell you is that sometimes when I've done all my career with the with the available and traditional research tools. So what I mean by this is, okay, I explore the different constructs. I looked for the different scales. I chose 1 or 2 scales for measuring the different constructs. Sorry, and I developed the study and analyzed the data with advanced statistical tools and all the typical things, right? But when you are moving to a new type of research, it's really hard to convince the reviewers about the value of the new type of research, because we all are deeply rooted in our current knowledge, and sometimes it's really hard to visualize or realize what is the value of additional methodologies or additional settings for measuring traditional things, because at the end we are not measuring different things. We are measuring how advertising impacts or how consumers buy a product into a store or in a e-commerce site. This is another study about unplanned shopping. So well, the topic is not new. So impulsivity, unplanned shopping, and these kind of concepts have been researched for many years in the field. But in this case, we use again a virtual reality setting. You will see it in a minute. And initially, we asked for some previous questions about the psychographics and consumer habits and so on. Then we invite them to go into a virtual reality supermarket, and they had to buy a list of products that we gave to them, and with the rest of the money that I didn't mention that we gave them around £20, they were able to buy all the products not listed in that shopping list. And we measured with eye tracking here on the right hand side, and with electroencephalography, the cognitive load and the eye movements and some other metrics. I'm going to stress the concept of cognitive load. So maybe we may ask consumers how was it difficult? How was difficult, or how was this choice difficult for you when you were at the store, etc., etc. And the consumers, especially if I am or consumers are smart, they won't tell us that okay, it was a hard task, because it means that we are somehow, you know, a bit stupid or simple, right? So instead we have to say, okay, it wasn't so easy, but at the end I found the right product at the right price and whatever. Okay, but with the cognitive load, we are able to measure the implicit response of the brain when the consumers were deciding and finally choosing one particular product. And that was really important when we are studying things like unplanned shopping. Was it easier than planned shopping? Did it take more time, more cognitive load, and so on? And at the end, we had we ended up the study with a questionnaire where we asked for the sense of present, flow, and some other related things such as store satisfaction. So this is a video. Let's watch a little bit of this. I'm gonna move here. So there were products, and it seems that there is something wrong. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you see this piece of paper. That was the list that we gave to the participants. For some reason, it doesn't. Okay. Now they had to buy chocolate. Maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. Oh, there we. No, sorry. You see now the chocolate, soda, cheese, cereals, milk, and broccoli. This was the list of the things that they had to buy at this store, virtual store again. So you see the quality of the virtual reality is really good, and it resembles a real supermarket. And yeah, and the consumers may transport to the different sections of the supermarket, examine the different. I see now the bananas on the right hand side and some other products from this store. And with the rest of the money that we gave them as a budget, they might buy the products they may want. So it was I think a smart idea for comparing the products they bought from a shopping list, and the products that they would buy with any specific aid. And for some reason now the video is not working properly, but I think that you can get an idea of the different sections. As I was saying, the quality I think is quite good. And this consumer is jumping from the different from one section to the other, looking for the products, maybe the products that he had in his list, or maybe she's searching for unplanned purchases. And yeah, now the video is working. I'm not gonna touch it just in case. I will stop it. The cornflakes section, cereals, chocolate bars, I guess. Oh, now he or she is checking the list of products, the shopping list, and see, okay, I need or I still need to buy whatever. Okay, so let's move to the last part of my presentation. So this is tentative research agenda. Obviously, I don't know what to research. I'm not in the but I have some ideas that I would like to share with you and to get your feedback and to get your views for deciding on the future research topics in our field. So the first research line deals with the consumer responses to this phygital world. I mean, as I said before, I'm not very fan of having new words and stuff like that in marketing, but it's true that when we use the word phygital, we have a clear idea of any type of integration between the between the physical and the digital worlds. Okay, and maybe we cannot just mimic the traditional metrics that we had for the phygital or for the digital world into this phygital world. The first idea that comes to my mind is that we should look at the consumers. We should focus on consumers' behavior. So if you go to a store later on or any point or any time this week, you will realize that consumers are using smartphones or any other devices, or if there is a kiosk available or any screen or anything related to the digital world inside the physical world. And maybe we have to look at them for forecasting what are the valuable metrics for measuring their behaviors. The second thing is what type of metrics do we need to use for this new setting? As I mentioned before, there are new metrics coming from the neurophysiological world that are applicable to these kind of settings. But it's true that it is not easy. First, second, is not available for any type of setting, and sometimes it requires portable devices, and there are connectivity issues and stuff like that. But at the end, I think that we cannot keep with the traditional metrics that gather information from the consumers based on a questionnaire. As I said before, I'm not discarding at all questionnaires, but I think that we have to complement the questionnaires with the new metrics coming from the digital world or coming from the neurophysiological world. So the third thing is, or a research line deals with the concept of customer journey. So as you know, in the recent years, we have there is a clear expansion of the word omnichannelity, and I like that idea of omnichannelity. But from my understanding, this idea of omnichannelity comes more from the retailer's perspective than from the consumer's perspective, right? So again, if we look at the experience from the consumer's point of view, maybe we may forcing a new type of customer journey with a total presence of different devices. It's not a matter of the technology, it's a matter of the experience that consumers feel when they buy products, maybe in a physical, maybe in a digital, or maybe in a hybrid setting. And definitely this new setting allow us to revise many consumer behavior theories that we have learned in the past from the physical world, and also in the from the digital world. But well, this is my proposal, but I also think that nowadays we cannot escape from the artificial intelligence. And well, there are some pros and cons, and that you already know. I'm not going to go into those comments. But what I was thinking, based on this fascinating paper from Huang and Rust, is the value of using artificial intelligence for detecting feelings rather than for addressing cognitive issues, moving to the affective world and to get feelings from consumers when they are, doing something. In other words, if a smart software allows us to predict future consumer behaviors, it will be fantastic for our research and obviously for marketers nowadays. So, well, this was all, and obviously I'm open to your questions, comments, or suggestions.
So thank you very much, and Enrique, maybe you'd like to stop presenting, or what? And then any question or any comments about your presentation or about future research? Maybe some of you are doing research from augmented reality, virtual reality, even artificial intelligence. You would like to know more about any kind of methodology, how to conduct these experiments, which are the devices more suitable for the particular research aims.
Okay, I could.
Did you want to make a question, Maria Jose?
Yes, well, not so much a question, just a comment. Thank you so much for it. It was really a very good presentation. So interesting. I had, it's not really a question, but I work on platforms, business models, and platforms have really changed all the roles, the consumer, so we don't speak. I want to know your point of view. There is not anymore so much a chain, like a producer. It's like all the actors are sharing the same space. So the way customer journey is designed is different. It's becoming different, because I saw so much interest in conservation, and I would like to know your point of view about this.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I wasn't so sure if I had the speaker connected. So, Maria Jose, thank you so much for your comment and question. It is really interesting. I think it's something that fascinating me because I more or less I said something about it, in the sense that, okay, in a customer journey, the current research and the current papers and the current market trends say more or less that, okay, consumers may start in an online setting and then they can go into the offline, or the reverse. They can start in the offline and they see for the different products and they buy the products online, because there are some benefits from doing those things, any of the two paths. So also the literature says, okay, so some consumers go to the some types of stores, especially stores, then they compare the products with the same products in other type of stores, etc., etc. So at the end, the concept behind these ideas is the omnichannelity. I'm gonna stop sharing my. There we go. Thank you. Now I see you. And so the concept of omnichannelity. But my feeling is that this idea comes from the retailer's perspective, manufacturer's perspective, rather than from the consumer's point of view, right? So because it seems to me that we are looking consumers as an third entity that goes from one point to another, from one platform to the other in this order, and so on. And maybe the challenge for us is to, as a researchers in marketing, is to change this current view into a new scheme of considering a centric view of the consumer in order to identify these type of different behaviors across different platforms, channels, order, and so on. Obviously, this is not easy. It's a real challenge, and but definitely maybe the way of doing that is to explore the customer journey with a deeper and closer perspectives.
Yeah, very interesting. That's what I think. I think that the customer still wants to do things and co-create value in different ways that is not the passive position. So very interesting. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Yes, and now, Maria Jose, you're also doing a lot of research of a new concept of balance centricity.
Yeah.
It's not just looking at the customer or the company, just an ecosystem in which the platforms obviously is a key player. It's a balance centricity. All the actors need to be integrated in the customer experience.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you. Lisa, you have a question as well?
Hi. Yeah, so it's not really a question, just wanted to say that, Enrique, I loved your presentation. It's very interesting. And I think it's very important research as well, because it's good to hear that the shops are not ready to give up on the offline presence yet, which is nice, because I'm still very much an offline shopper. But as you mentioned, I'm one of the people who now is doing the online to offline customer journey. So before I go to shop, I would check usually the store online to see even if they have the items that I might be interested in, and then I go to check them out. As I didn't even realize before you said it, I am always on my phone while in the store, either checking the prices or checking if the store has the item, and then going to the person to be like, oh, do you have this? I think maybe one idea that I had during your presentation, it would be interesting to look at the physical store design and how it includes the new technology, because I think oftentimes when stores include the sort of technology like click and collect, or like if it's say like coffee shops, or if it's a clothing store, like the till points that you can interact with, I think often it's done in a way where the store stays the same and design doesn't integrate it. It's just the new technology is like added somewhere on the floor. And sometimes it results in that not kind of being working in the environments that already exists. So for example, a lot of the times I would do a click and collect in a shop and then come there, and then turns out they didn't notice that I did an online order. So I have to still wait there and wait for them to do it, even though the whole idea was that I just come in, grab it and go. Or, you know, with the shopping tills, I would see that the item is in store, but then I can't find it, and I have to like make circles around the floor trying to find it. And then essentially I still need to get an assistant, and then they have to go look for it. So it takes a lot of time. So I think maybe it could be a good idea to look at how these new technologies, they actually change the outlay for it to actually become more than a gimmick and more less of a gimmick and more than an actual technology that people will use and enhance their experience. But yeah, so I think if only I had one question, is where you would draw the line, I think, going to the future for the technologies becoming too much and becoming overwhelming versus being very useful.
Thank you so much, Lisa, for your comment and your question. Yeah, definitely what you were doing, you said more or less, okay, I search online and then I go to the store and check them out and so on for the different options and so on. So when we do that, we feel that in the digital world is something dynamic with external aids for selecting, let's say, two brands and compare the different, features, and finally it gives us a kind of outcome or result about that comparison, right? But when we go to the brick and mortar, to the physical store, it seems that it is a static world that comes from the past without, in general terms, without the animation and related things, right? So that's the challenge, how to integrate that dynamism into a physical store, okay? And definitely the store design plays a key role for making it possible. And particularly, you mentioned click and collect, right? I think that the retailers, or in general, they have to change their mindsets, and considering that this is the whole businesses, or the whole business, or the whole brand, or the whole product, or the whole experience with our product or brands, without that internal differentiation of being in the digital or in the physical world. Why I'm saying this? Okay, as you know, companies try to differentiate the roles and responsibilities and tasks depending on the distribution channel. For instance, if I am the manager of a brick and mortar store, I don't like to people come for collecting products that they haven't bought in my brick and mortar store, because the bonus and all those related things will come to the digital side of the company, right? So that's why I consider that a retailer should change this mindset of using the full customer journey with different interactions at different times and different points and different comparisons, with a single view based on the consumer behavior. And you are right when you were mentioning the example of the click and collect, right? Sometimes when we go to the store, if we want to collect something that we have bought before through online through the e-commerce site, we have to go to the corner of the store. So somehow I feel that, okay, maybe they are not considering me as a with the same value as any other consumer, right? And at the end, I'm a consumer. The thing is that I started my process online instead of going directly to the physical store. So that is a very good example of integrating the design of the stores with these two perspectives into a single view. Okay, click and collect is a very useful option for many consumers, and a consumer is the real asset of a company, not the procedures or the different paths that consumer developed for buying a product.
Thank you, Enrique. And any other comment, question? Okay, I can see some messages here. So thank you so much to everyone for joining this seminar online this morning. We will inform you that we have some more seminars and also some workshops a bit longer with hands-on. With Enrique, we will go through the process, how to conduct research doing augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. So we will inform you soon. Yeah, let's keep in touch. Any initiative, any idea that you have, please let us know. Okay. Good. So good morning. Have a great day and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Kike.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Jose. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye bye. Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
Bye, Sajay.
Bye.